This presentation will be recorded. The presentation will be recorded and uploaded to our Women in Leadership website following this event. Additionally, if you've registered to attend, as all of you would have today, you will receive this recording by email within the next few days or within the next week. Also, there's a brief 2-minute survey link in the chat, or which will be placed in the chat, and we ask you to take time to complete it at the end of today's event. If nothing else, you can think it fun because it's really easy. Just click a few things. We ask you to visit womeninleadership.ca to learn more about what women in leadership across the nation is. And we also invite you all to be WIL members and to subscribe to our e-newsletter. It is free. You'll find all that information on that website. So I will begin by introducing our panelists, beginning with Sandra Masters. Mayor Masters was sworn in as Regina's 35th mayor on November 23rd, 2020. She made Regina's history by becoming the first woman elected and defeating a 2-time incumbent mayor during a global pandemic. Sandra is focused on efficient and effective city operations, fostering an environment for economic growth, supporting a safe community, and creating fair opportunities. Welcome, Sandra. Our next panelist is Destinee Peter. Destinee is the sole owner and operator of Tangle's Hair and Beauty Salon since 2013, which she founded at the ripe age of 22. Destinee works hard and knows how important it is for her to be a positive role model for Indigenous youth and women. In recognition of her success, Destinee was a finalist for Women Entrepreneurs of Saskatchewan's Indigenous Entrepreneur Award and won an up-and-coming award at the inaugural Indigenous Entrepreneurship Awards in 2021. And last, but certainly not least, I'd like to introduce Michelle Schmalenberg. As Executive Director of Strategy and Innovation, Michelle oversees strategic planning, performance measurement, large-scale change, and innovation for Saskatchewan Health Authority, which we also know as SHA. As part of the SHA leadership team, Michelle brings a collaborative leadership style, a strategic focus, and an ability to see the big picture. So I'd like to welcome all three of our panelists today. So we are going to begin with a few questions for them. Carrie Lynn, did you have something you'd like to bring forward? I see your hand went up.
No, that was just me clapping. Welcoming our panelists.
Woohoo! Perfect. Well, I'd like to see lots of claps then. There we go. All right. So let's begin with our first panel discussion question. And
Leanne, you're muted.
How did I mute? That's awesome. Okay. How much did we miss? I apologize, you guys. I always have a joke that if you are talking in a Zoom meeting and you're on mute, you have to put $5 into the donation jar. So that there's $5 I am going to go find and put into that donation jar. My bad. All right. We will start our panel discussion with our three panelists who are going to share a little bit about their journey. And so Mayor Masters, I would like to begin with you, if you would like to kick off this question. So which of your skills or attributes do you believe has supported you most in your career or leadership journey?
Well, thank you. Thanks for having me. I would tell you that I think it's a massive amount of curiosity and frankly, being kind of solutions driven. You like to find out what the issues are and you collect the information, you ask a whole bunch of questions, you meet a whole bunch of people, and you're trying to drive something forward, you know, that consensus building idea. Getting involved in the community to understand, to sort of kind of stay in touch with what's happening, whatever your community happens to be, whether that's at work, in your personal life, you know, the broader community, I think is kind of really enormously important. And then the ability to connect and communicate with people from, frankly, every walk of life, every ethnicity, every gender, every background, really remaining open to other people's ideas. And whatever it is you think you know, you probably have something to learn from somebody else, something not yet considered. And I really like talking to people that challenge me, because I may not win someone over, but whatever their argument is actually helps me build the case or reflect upon what it is I think, to actually switch it up the next time you communicate about it, how to adjust it to actually address what could be more than that person's concern. So I think it's a lot of that.
Awesome. That's awesome. Very good. I love that you always learn something from others. That's fantastic. And I agree, no matter how much you think you know, somebody else hopefully is going to know more than you that you can build off of. Destinee, how about yourself? What skills or attributes do you believe has supported you in your leadership journey and career?
Thank you for having me also on this panel. I think the ability to trust goes a long way. I'm a very trustworthy and honest person. So when I hire staff, they know, I think that they get that right from the start of how I am as a person, and it's in their contract. And so I think that one goes a long way for our salon. Communication and listening, I think, is huge. I'm really good at listening to my staff's needs, and we have monthly meetings, so we sit down every month, and they tell me, if there's things that bother them, and I address them as a team, and I think that just makes us stronger as a team when we can fix solutions or fix problems. And I also think that I treat my team the way I want to be treated. I know what it's like to have a boss and, being talked to in a certain way that I didn't appreciate. So I treat them at the start how I want to be treated. But then eventually when we warm up, I address it at our monthly meetings of how they want to be treated. And if criticism or criticized, I think having them say how they want to be criticized is really helpful. And just confidence over time. I didn't have the confidence in the beginning, but over time, just having, my team supporting me and telling me, and as a team, I just feel like we have grown confidence, and it helped me with my confidence as well.
That's fantastic. Those are three awesome points, right? Trust, communication, and listening, and really treat others as you want to be treated. Those are really great takeaways. I remember when I had first started at one of my last places that I worked, and the CEO said to me on my first day, is we extend 100% trust here, and what a foundation that sets. So very awesome. Thank you so much, Destinee. Michelle, how about yourself? What skills or attributes do you believe supported you most in your journey?
I also too just want to thank the committee for the opportunity to be here, and I'm going to build a bit on Destinee's response. But for me, I think the skill that and attributes that have supported me the most in my journey is my ability to build relationships. I really pride myself on the relationships that I build with people, and the foundation of a good relationship is trust. And so I work hard to gain the trust of my colleagues and peers and the people I work with. And I do that by being a very authentic leader. I'm very transparent. I share a lot to help people understand, the big picture, the purpose of the work, the path we're on, what the plan is, what people's part can be in helping us get from point A to point B. And I really follow through on what my commitments are. And I also acknowledge that when my contributions fall short, I accept responsibility for that and demonstrate to my peers, how I'm going to do better. And that helps create trust and build those relationships. I work for the Saskatchewan Health Authority. It is, I think, the biggest organization in the province. And so, in order for us to be successful as an organization, we really have to build coalitions and work cross-functionally between multiple service lines. And as a leader in an organization like this, building trust with teams, having them feel like you have their back and they believe in you helps you reach their hearts and minds and help the teams who really have the expertise to make improvements in our system and develop or deliver care for the people of Saskatchewan. You need a big team to do that. It can't be done by a few. And so I think what's helped me be successful is building trust, creating relationships, which lead to those coalitions that help us be successful as an organization.
Awesome. Thank you so much. And I love the part where you said, to make sure to follow through. So expecting those kinds of things of yourself and of others, and also that everyone has each other's back. Those are really awesome, really big things. Now, before you go off of mute, Michelle, I'm going to bring us to our next question. And so when you're looking at some of the challenges you faced as a leader or a woman in a leadership role, tell us a little bit about how you navigated through that.
Sure. So I think one of the challenges that I've had to overcome as a female in a leadership role is really owning my ability to lead with emotion and passion, and then not be boxed into a stereotypical kind of female attribute. So I do lead with emotion. I do not have a poker face. I show my cards, like I've been on meetings where I've gotten texts from colleagues and they're like, yeah, we know what you're thinking and feeling right now. And so like I've had to work, to own the characteristics that make me me and make me that authentic leader, and know that it's okay to lead with emotion. I did play a role on our emergency operations center team to manage the pandemic to manage the pandemic response for the SHA during the COVID-19 pandemic. And I mean, there were some very dark moments in my role, and the tears come when you feel like you're reaching a breaking point. And I think it's okay sometimes to show that your vulnerable side. And I actually had a male colleague who I would say was one of my rocks during my time at EOC, who probably saw me in those most vulnerable moments, and that's okay. And then on the flip side, I was kind of reflecting on this question quite a bit. I once took a leadership development program, and any of you who have done that, often they start off with a 360 review. And someone who kind of did an assessment on me put in my 360 review that I really needed to work on my warm and fuzzy skills. And that kind of ate at me, because I was like, would you put that in a 360 review if I was a man? So I feel like, I have those polar opposites going on where, some people view me as very direct, super driven, challenge the status quo, asks tough questions. And then on the flip side, I lead with that emotion. And so it's kind of figuring out how to take both of those leadership styles and own that as a woman in a leadership role, and just roll with it. And some days, you nail it, and other days it kind of can come crashing down, but it's getting back up and just keep on going that helps you hone in on those skills and develop as a leader.
Awesome. Thank you, Michelle. That just gives me goosebumps, right? Really owning that. And that's so huge. Really, really great. Mayor Masters, I'd like to pass the mic over to you now, and for you to share some of your insight into this question.
I love that answer by Michelle. I actually call it, which of me would you like to show up today? Is kind of how I approach it. Probably one of the things in the role that I do, having been kind of the first female elected into this role, is some notion of finding that balance between being a representative, but understanding that I can't stand for all women, because we're not homogenous. Like, we all have different viewpoints. We all have a different life experience. We bring something different to the table. And so really trying to balance off not getting, boxed into, well, that's not how so-and-so would do it, or that's not how I feel about it. And so really taking a step back and understand that, I was elected as a human being for whatever it is, the traits or whatever it is people saw in me, and that I need to proceed forward with that while respecting other people. I find the breadth of perspectives that you can run into when you're looking at interest-based decisions can be part and parcel with, honoring people's perspectives. At the same time, I may make a decision that they don't agree with. And so really kind of staying informed, and that's that part about reaching out and to, I think both Michelle and Destinee's comments about building relationships. It's that we're like, I can't get to where you need me to get to, I can get to here. And I think that other piece, yes, I've done a 360 as well, Michelle, is that feeling of being an imposter. I call myself a poser all the time. I like to tell people when I got elected, 90 days in, I'm being, asked by the Human Rights Commission to sit on a women in leadership panel. And I'm like, I've been here 90 days, like, really? And yet by virtue of putting up your hand and actually stepping forward, that showing up principle is, it is a sign of leadership. And so just going, okay, other people are seeing something in you that perhaps feels not necessarily authentic yet. And just understanding that, they see something sometimes that you don't. I think as women, oftentimes we self-select ourselves out of roles. Well, I wouldn't, like, what am I going to do there? Like, how am I going to contribute there? Understand that wherever you are is where you're supposed to be. Like, other folks see in you your strengths and your willingness to come there with a different perspective and different ideas. And so be there in that moment. You are where you're supposed to be. I think one of the other challenges is there's a certain cohort that I deal with on a regular basis who, frankly, in their lifetimes have never taken a directive from a woman. And so on the one hand, you have to understand that it's different for people. And there has to be something within you, as frustrated or as kind of maybe an eye roll, that you might have in you, that you have a little bit of compassion going, oh, okay, as much as this is new for me, this is also new for someone else. I always kind of chuckle at the, I know you're looking around thinking, can I talk to someone else? And no, you can't. I'm actually the person you have to talk to. And to Michelle's point, you own that. And then understand the responsibility and the gravity of that it's kind of something I deal with almost every week. Something will come up that you're like, holy smackers. I'm here. This is what I have to do. We do joke around in the office, and I have all women staff in my office, but we do joke around, why does this have to be so hard? And then we always laugh and go, well, if it was easy, anybody would do it. That kind of principle. So, I think at the end of the day, making decisions for a lot of people is hard. Making hard decisions requires a reflectiveness and constantly reminding yourself that, hey, you're in this, you're in it to win it. There's no one that you can actually, other than, having really great people around you to bounce ideas off and building those relationships to go, I'm thinking about this. What does it sound like to you? Always being able to question yourself so that what you ultimately come out with, especially out into the public with, is something that, as I say, I can stand behind all day long. So that's a constant struggle, but I've been the benefactor of being around some really amazing people, both, male, female, other genders, and that willingness to kind of always test where you're coming from, but understanding at the end of the day that you have to stand in front of what it is you decide.
Awesome. Thank you so much. That was there. So many great points in there. The one that really stood out for me was self-selecting out of a role. And I always roll through my own head is, if anybody else can do it, why can't I? And so I think that's fantastic. So thank you so much. Destinee, I'm going to turn the mic over to you now, and I'd love to hear your insight on this question.
Yeah, I had a few challenges through my journey. So one of the challenges in the beginning was getting a loan and just learning about the financials of like running a business. So for me, actually, I didn't know about a lot of support out there, and I got denied by banks. So thankfully, growing up, I was really good with my money, and I just hoarded it and saved it. So I used all my savings actually to purchase the salon my business when I was 22. And then over time, as I didn't have the staff at the beginning. So over time, as I started hiring staff, that I was able to step away from the business and start learning about more about the business. So then that leads me into building the team that I have now. I had no staff at the beginning, and I went through a lot of staff before I found the staff that I have now. And when you know that they're the right fit, you just know they kind of mirror you, like you're trustworthy, honest. They have a purpose, a drive, and they just love their career. So with building the team that I have now, they've all been with me for 7 or 6 years, which I'm super thankful. And that allowed me to take more business classes, as well as it allowed me to start my family. I now have
Oh, I think we froze up there. Okay, well, it looks like the internet connection was a little bit lagging there for Destiny. Hopefully she's going to be able to connect back in. I think one of the big things that I heard from Destiny was the learning piece, and how we're continually learning, and how she's really seeing the value of the importance of making sure to incorporate that into her business. And I believe that that's true for every position that you may hold. All right, well, she looks like she's maybe left, and hopefully there we go. Destiny, were you able to get back in?
Sorry, I just kicked me out. Okay, so I missed a lot of my babies first. But during that time, I was able to see how much my business grown in those times. And then also just finding that healthy balance between family and work life, allowing me to build that team, and a good team. It made me find a healthy balance, and I had to cut my hours back, and now I miss my boys. So my home time is strictly my time with my boys, and then I work hard when I'm at the salon.
That's awesome. Thank you so much for that, Destiny. So just as you had left, I was talking about how I appreciate the value that you place on learning, and that continual learning, and that last comment, on that work-life balance. That's something that we all need to attain, or strive to attain, that healthy balance for all of us, for sure. And so while, again, now you get to be the next one up to begin our next question, our next discussion question, Destiny. So women in leadership exist to provide a community for women and career development opportunities. In the Saskatchewan chapter, we're working to build a network of women leaders. So all of you here today. So the question, Destiny, is what kinds of things have you done to build and nurture your network, and what kind of an impact has that had on your career?
So I think giving back to my community, that's really important to me, as well as my entire team. So we have monthly deals that we like to support local businesses. This month we are giving away succulents from a local business, plant business. So we just pick something local every month to do and to support them, get their name out. As well as we do our annual salon anniversary. So we pick in a local organization that has a lot of meaning to us, and we give back that way. We also do our Christmas donation, so we pick a local charity that way. And also I love giving back to my home community, Carry the Kettle, in the Dakota Nation. So whether it's giving free haircuts to students in need, or teaching the cosmetology class out on my reserve, that's just my favorite thing to do. I think is just giving back to my home community. And one thing that is just embedded in me is just never forget where you came from and who helped you along the way. And I definitely noticed that with COVID, when you give back, people just want to help you more, and it's just a continued cycle. I'm just very grateful.
That's awesome. I think it was a Tim McGraw song, and it was in one of the lines in there. It says, "When you get to the top, reach back." Pretty much along those lines, right? When you get to the top, make sure that you haven't forgotten the people that have helped you along the way. So that's fantastic. That's really fantastic. Michelle, what are your thoughts around here of what have you done to build and nurture your network and the impact it's had for you?
Thanks. I think this is a great question. And I think Destinee's articulation of what she does is really impressive and amazing. And I feel a bit embarrassed to go next because I actually don't think this is something I do very well, to be honest. So I've been super fortunate in my career. I think when I reflected back, all of my direct supervisors, with the exception of 2, have been women and very exceptional leaders. Currently, I report to Dr. Susan Shaw, who I think recently was nominated for a Women Distinction Award at the YWCA in Saskatchewan. And I report into a dyad leadership, so I report into a physician and then an administrative VP. Both are women. Beth Vachon is my other direct supervisor. And then previous to that, I also reported into women. And I just think, wow, has that ever shaped who I am and my approach to work and the confidence that it's built in me to, own being a female leader. I do tend to keep my mentorship circle really tight. So I have a few key leaders that, or coaches or mentors that I reach out to from time to time. I do coach and support people who reach out to me, but I also put a lot of effort into supporting my current team right now. We've been through a lot of change and tragedy, I guess, through the pandemic response. And my focus lately has been really on helping my team and my colleagues get their feet back under them. But I also think it's important to know that there are male leaders and coaches and support people along the way that have shaped me and will help you too. And when you think about your network, and it doesn't always have to be female driven. And I think one of the things that maybe holds me back from getting involved in chapters like this, but maybe I actually will step up and do it now that Carrie Lynn had asked me to participate on the panel, is I don't like to overcommit and not be able to deliver on my commitments. And I am a full-time working mom. I have 3 kids, and they're at that age where they're all really big in lots of activities. And that in itself is kind of what I can juggle. I'm also working on my master's right now. So, I don't want to spread myself too thin and not do a good job building my network or supporting other people or giving back. So maybe, it's definitely an opportunity for me to think more about, but there's definitely a journey on your leadership path. And, if you're fortunate, like I have, sometimes that journey is really shaped by the female leaders that have influenced you and helped you get to where you are.
Awesome. Thank you very much, Michelle. Although you said that you don't feel like you've done very much, I think you maybe have. That sounds pretty fantastic. And Mayor Masters, I'm going to pass the mic over your way now. I'd love to hear some of your insight on this question.
It's kind of interesting. So I had my 4 kids young. And so my involvement kind of out in the community was always sort of participating and volunteering on teams or at school. And it grew from there, sort of almost in a bit of a creep sort of way. Like all of a sudden it was like, well, why do you serve on this board of directors? Oh, okay. And then they would reach out and say, well, we need a volunteer here. And so you just kept saying yes, especially if it was what my kids were involved in. And then they grew up. And so then folks who I had served on different committees and different boards with were saying, hey, you've got more time now. So why don't you come out and volunteer with this board or that board? And it sort of kind of worked my way, into more kind of bigger boards or boards which had kind of more bigger budgets and those types of things. And it was just by showing up, to soccer and to saying, hey, I'll be the treasurer on the hockey team. That's great with me. And then what happened was, because I was raising, and I had 4 kids, frankly, a couple in university, a couple in high school, and I was serving on some boards, I had sort of checked out a way, like I wasn't going out to business events. I wasn't going out into the community like I probably had earlier in my career. And when I went to run for office, I was actually told by a political individual who had run campaigns before. He said, you got a problem. It's nobody knows who you are. And I kind of went, oh. So I went to a core group of folks who I had, used to be clients or I'd served on boards with. And I asked them, I said, I need you to introduce me to your friends. This is what I'm going to do. I need you to introduce me to your friends. This is where I'm going. And because I had their support, they would tell a friend. And so I ended up meeting people, I called it concentric circles, where you'd meet a small group of people and all of a sudden, and they'd say, how can we help? And if you convince them, how can we help? And it just sort of kept building and building and building. And I kept going to, how can we help? Well, tell 5 friends. I'll meet your 5 friends. And I kept doing that. It just so happened that these were individuals that, had circles of influence who everybody does. And then since being elected, one of the things is that, much to the chagrin of probably some of the folks in my office, I don't really say no to anyone if they want to meet. And so I just think from a curiosity standpoint, understanding what's happening in your community, understand whether it's economic, social, cultural, I don't say no to anybody. And so you meet with Brownies and you meet with the Multicultural Association, you meet with Symphony, you'll meet with, industry and other levels of government, and really always trying to stay open, stay connected. You have something to learn from everybody. And then I met all these events, and I'm always kind of fascinated by the folks that show up, that understand that they're out there networking. I literally was, to Michelle's point about having some male mentors or male individuals in my life who went, hey, we'll introduce you to people. Well, some of these guys had spent their whole lives networking, and you were able to tap into that because you'd worked with them or I'd served with them, and they believed in kind of what I'm trying to accomplish. And so then they open doors for you. And so it doesn't even necessarily have to be showing up at events. There's a lot of people probably in your circles who have those connections that if you're just open about the fact that, hey, I'm trying to build a network, they'll open doors for you. It's really the most incredible thing. And people love talking about what they're up to. They love talking about what they're passionate about. And you can benefit from that just kind of by putting yourself out there, just one step to say, I am trying to accomplish this. And folks will help you out, probably folks that you never even thought about. And what you'll learn and who you'll connect with will serve you incredibly well.
Agreed. That's awesome. Thank you so much for your insight there. And I love the thing of, I'm just trying to build my network and the kind of doors that can open. What a awesome tip. Very, very awesome. Okay, thank you. So that concludes our panel discussion portion of today's agenda. Next, we are going to actually go into a breakout group where Carrie Lynn is going to magically zoom us into separate rooms. We are going to pause the recording, and the topics for discussion.
This meeting is being recorded.
All right, welcome back from our breakout. So we're just a few minutes over. We were promising 12:45 to end today. We're at 12:49. I just got a few closing comments, and then you'll have 10 minutes before either your lunch hour is done or your next meeting begins, or whatever the afternoon has in store for you. Just wanted to share with you some upcoming events that we have through Will. I'm going to trust everyone can see my screen. And so you'll see here, if you'd like to register, on Tuesday, May the 17th at 4 o'clock Pacific time, a conversation on compensation is being presented by our Will Victoria chapter. We also have a really exciting forum that is going to be on for pretty much, I believe, the full day on Wednesday, June the 1st, on diversity, equity, and inclusion. It's a leadership forum and certainly something worth checking out. You can go to our womeninleadership.ca website. This is where you can register for these. You can register to get for the email or for the newsletter, pardon me, and just stay connected. There is a feedback link in the chat. It will take you maybe 2 minutes to complete. We would love your input because your input is going to help us so that we can continue doing things like this today. And with that, we are at 12:50. Really appreciate all of you, all of your time. Keep being strong. Thank you very, very much, Michelle, Sandra, and Destinee. Your words were goosebumps. Lots of it was just goosebumps, and just loved hearing everything that you had to say. So with that, thank you all very much, and we hope to see you at our next event. Bye-bye.
Thank you.